fellow aquarium scientists. Sorry for the unannounced pop in. I was going to be doing some maintenance on the plant holding rack, and so I thought, let's hop on, see what the fish fam is doing today. Not going to be on for too long, but um, you know, that we hang out. So we'll just wait for a few more people to pop in. I don't expect a lot of people showing up right now, but hey there, Annette, Mystery Snail Guardians. Thank you for popping in. Killer Kitty, how you doing? Yeah, I was part of that live stream, and they were like, "Thank you, Annette. Sorry, Annette, stealing the hashtag." But yeah. So yeah, basically the whole what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be working on this thing right here. Ooh, that did not sound good. You okay? Okay. I'm just going to be working on these tanks, the two tanks specifically. So they need a much needed water change, a little scrubby dub dub, nothing too major. Because this tank has gotten a little more empty, so it's going to be a little more easy for me to move things to the side and get stuff cleaned up. Um, but yeah, I might even work on that tank, get that cleared out so I can put the tissue culture plants in there. But I'm not going to be on here too long because around 3 o'clock I have family coming over. So, but yeah, so I guess I can get things rolling. Hang on tight. Okay. And of course, my sister's cat decides to pop in. So usually what I like to do is I just like to start with this one here because it's more elevated than the bottom one and it makes siphoning water out way more easier. So first off, gotta take this lid without having it fall down. And doing maintenance on these tanks gives me an excuse to also just do a wellness check on the plants, see if anything needs to be trimmed, pruned, all that stuff. But but yeah, hold on, I gotta grab my phone and turn the CO2 off. So CO2 is off. Next up, gotta turn that little Dennerley corner filter off. There we go. All right. Whoop! Almost tripped. Okay. So Rose is asking, did you build that rack? It's very nice. So no, I didn't build this rack. Actually, I mentioned it when I was doing that Tropica plant unboxing. I talked about how I came across this rack. This was actually built by, I'm assuming, was built by a local hobbyist, and he was selling it. It was on Facebook Marketplace, and he was selling it for a decent price. Um, you get the rack with the four stands, or for the four tanks and the lids. And he had the measurements on, and so I measured the area, and it fit perfectly fine. So I got it, and it was the main reason for me getting it was so that it could hold plants for the store. But yeah, I enjoy it. It's a cool thing. Definitely worth what I paid for. Okay, so there are a few plants that do need trimming. The Lymphoides Hydrophila Taiwan needs to be trimmed back a little bit. A lot of the plants, the leaves are starting to get up to the water surface. I want to trim it down a little bit. The Alternanthera Renickii pink this is like the fourth time I have to trim those plants down. So I'm gonna actually go really down there and trim them down so that way it'll take a while before I have to trim them again. Let me grab a trash can real quick. Stand by, be right back. And we're back. I just have to put a new thingy in the trash can here. All right, so you'll go over there on the side. I'm going to move you over to the side for a moment. So I'm going to trim, grab my scissors, my aquascaping scissors. Okay. Oh, we got more people in. Cool. Hello there, Shady Grady. Welcome. Fish Fam Link, thank you very much for stopping by. My friend Koro, how you doing, bud? And Only Oscars, thank you very much for stopping by. Yeah, just doing a little pop-up. Decided to do some maintenance before I have guests coming over. And thought I'd just go live for a little bit, see what everybody's up to. I know there's other live streams going on, so you're more than welcome to go there if you need. Just going to be watching me do some maintenance. So this Bacopa, I'm going to trim it down a little bit, not too much, but enough. This plant's been doing well. I've actually had this for a while, even longer than the, I believe, even longer than the Cypress alferi. I sold quite a bit of these. Now these plants, these two pots, I actually had to repot, if that makes sense. So as the plant was growing, the immersed part towards the bottom was starting to melt back a little bit and die off. And so what I did was I trimmed the top portion, which was adapted to underwater growth, and I took everything out. And I took the rock wool apart, and I was able to easily get the plants off of the rock wool that I could reuse it. And so I ended up replanting the new trimmings back into that rock wool, put it back in there, and they've been doing very well. Right, so that's trimmed. Don't know what that is. There we go. Get off. Excuse me. All right, so now, then for certain plants, I just like to something that's really bushy, like this Nymphoides hydrophila Taiwan. I just like to get in there with my fingers, just follow the stem until I can get as close to the bottom as I can, and I just trim it off. So let's see here. So you can go. I have two pots. One pot is doing way better than the other one, but that's okay. They're both healthy. I also see one leaf there that is in the process of melting, so I can, or isn't, or it's just not doing too well. So I'm gonna take that off so the plant can use up its energy to create more plants. And what's interesting, I'm just noticing it now, is this plant is, whoa, look at that. That's cool. I know. So interesting. So obviously, this plant, the Nymphoides hydrophylla Taiwan, is a bulb plant, right? Now, I've just noticed it is bringing out runners. Look at that. So that's a whole new plant right there. Obviously, it doesn't have the bulb. That's interesting. Some of you who probably know that this is how it propagates is like, yeah, well, of course that's how it propagates. I've never seen it like this, but interesting. So what I'll do is I will save this and let's replant it. Why not? Hang on tight. I gotta grab some stuff here. I'm just gonna let you float in here for a little bit. Dry my hands a little bit. Uh, so Shady says, someday if you have time, Professor, I would love for you to check out my channel to see all the plants I grow. I only have a dozen videos so far. I just started 2 weeks ago to video. Absolutely. I will be more than happy to check it out. Thank you for letting me know. So right back here, rock wool that is too small for the pots that these plants come in. One of the distributors that I do get plants from, they also sell rock wool that is supposed that you know that all these nurseries use anyway. So, but I mean, I bought this already, so I'm just gonna finish. So once I finish that, I'll get the other rock wool. But it's basically like used for hydroponics, things like that. But it's like too small to fit into the pots like this. So I actually have to turn it sideways, and it's wide enough that it'll then stay in there. And so, but first I gotta soak this. So I'll be right back, y'all. Talks amongst yourselves. Y'all want to see my pot collection, like my plant pot collection? So these are how many plants, unfortunately, I've had to toss out because either they just didn't do too well in my system, or they've been in my system for so long because they weren't getting the true nutrients they needed that they were like, I give up and decided to die off. So of course I have to toss them out because I'm not gonna ship unhealthy plants. And so I would toss out the plant, the rock wool, everything, and I would keep the pots, and I have this stack and I have like two other stacks sitting right there. So they do come in handy from time to time, but because I mentioned it a while ago that of like of the stack, and so I was like, I might as well just show you guys. So I'm gonna put this back here. Don't fall, don't fall, don't fall. All right, so I've got this here. Could probably rinse this too. No, it's okay. But yeah, so basically I soaked it up, and then it already has a little slit there. And I gotta be careful because if I open it up too much, it just rips. Once it's wet, it gets very delicate. Um, and so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna trim back these roots a little bit, not too much, just a little. Which, by the way, when you do get pots, plants in the pots, um, it's actually recommended when you do take them out of the rock wool to actually trim back or cut back their roots. And when you plant them, they're going to be growing newer, fresher roots, a new, healthier root structure. That's going to do well in your system. So I'm going to keep that little bulb out of the rock wool so it has time to breathe. But I'm going to have the roots in there. Then I'm going to plop it in here carefully. Whoop! Sorry, don't break. And bam, there you go. I got another pot of this. So I'm gonna put this to the side for now. There we go. And we will continue on with our pruning. I already see one of the Echinoduris renai leaves is not doing too well, so I'm gonna trim that off. And to be honest with you, I only have one pot that's doing very well of these. And when I mean very well, I mean like I've got a lot of growth. The others, I do have growth, but they're not to my standards. So I might have to go on the website and adjust the quantity to just one, so that way I don't end up selling the other two. And then if they come back, then I'll add them back to the store. Um, Cora says Shady has a lot of good advice. That's good. Um, so Cora says, I love rockwool. Lots of people complain about it like it's asbestos in their fish tanks. But honestly, I would prefer it to filter floss in some ways. I mean, I wouldn't use it as like a oh, I know what you're talking about. Um, I mean, it's fine. The only downside I have to rockwool is it gets the tank really messy. The older it gets, the more disintegrating it gets. Um, um, and it also isn't really that breathable. So for the root structure, in a sense, basically, you don't want your plants to stay in the rock wool indefinitely. You want to get it out of there. Now, for certain plants like your carpeting plants, even Tropica recommends keeping a little bit of the rock wool, um, so that it keeps it as like an anchor. Um, but you want to get most of it off of it. But for the temporary growth of the plant and holding and all that, it's definitely a great thing, and it's used in not only in the aquarium plant industry but also in hydroponics, aquaponics for terrestrial plants, things like that. So it's definitely a great thing. Um, but not something I would recommend growing your plants in indefinitely with for. So Shady's asking Coro, do you have a channel? I think he does. Uh, yeah, it is. It is spendy. Well, like I said, I have the one of the distributors I get plants from sells rock wool, and it's pretty cheap. It's just that you have to get them in like a large quantity. But the price per thing isn't that much. Okay, moving on. So I'm gonna continue pruning a little bit. I'm not gonna focus too much on this, but any like leaves that I think aren't doing too well, or any leaves that are too tall. Obviously, if I had a more deeper tank, I would let it keep growing, but last I also don't want it to shade anything. Pretty cool plant. I really like this plant. I had it in the guppy tank there. Um, but then I stopped seeing it growing. So I don't know what happened, but it could be light, maybe. I don't know. But I mean, it's an easy category plant, so light isn't really that big of an issue for it. Okay, cool. All right, so moving on back here to this monstrosity. I wish I could show you guys the top view of this, but the Alternanthera renekii pink is doing very well. And that leaf just popped out. That's funny. And it's interesting as I continue to trim this plant back. Um, I start seeing less of the greenish leaves, like it's immersed leaves, and I start seeing more of the redder leaves, which is cool. It's really hard for me to like figure out what's what. I'm seeing a lot of these leaves. By the way, don't be alarmed by these leaves that are like just popping off. They're probably like older leaves that have just been stuck in there, and now since I'm moving it around, those leaves are starting to finally pop off, which is okay. Hope you guys can hear me. I don't have any fancy microphones or anything, or yet. Okay, so you can see there's a lot of these leaves that have popped off, but were trapped, so I couldn't really tell they were there. And, good enough. Okay, so and then the Renekii, the Alternata Renekii Rosenervig is doing very well. It's a beautiful plant. It's really cool. It's like your variegated leaves, but instead of green and white, it's like red and like brownish. Like it's really cool. Um, by the way, this is just a random pop up live stream. The actual live stream for Professor Fish Tanks is until this Sunday at 3. Um, in terms of what we're going to be talking about on that live stream, you should be able to find the information on the description of the video or the live stream. So if you want to prepare for that live stream, feel free to check out the description, and you'll know and you'll see what we're going to be talking about. And I'm pretty excited about it. It involves me going on my phone, and I had to like figure out how to share my phone screen on StreamYard, and I finally figured it out, and it was pretty cool. Um, Shady's asking, are those 20 gallons or 30-gallon tanks, Professor? These are 20 gallons. They're 20-gallon low boys. Red plants. So I have two red plants. I have the smaller, the mid ground is Alternanthera Renekii Rosinnervig. Excuse me. And the ones in the back that are good for your background are the Alternanthera Renekii pink. Then I have Echinoderus Renai, which is like a more not red, but like a mixture between red, brown, like it's almost like a maroony brown color if it's given the right amount of light and nutrients. And then obviously I have the dwarf aquarium lily, and that's it. Right now, what I have this tank, I don't have a lot of plants. I also have like all of my epiphytes are in the tank. Let me show you guys. All of my epiphytes are like right over here. So that's all your Anubias, Bucephalandra. Yeah. Hopefully, in a future shipment, I'll see if I can get in water sprite, Java ferns, things like that. I'm trying to get in the Bucephalandra or Bucephalandra if George Farmer was here. Um, the Bucephalandra Ketagang, which is more of a redder buse, and Tropica has not been getting it in either potted or tissue culture. So I don't know, but they have been getting in the needle leaf tissue culture. So hopefully at some point I'll order that in as well. But yeah, that's what I have in terms of bread. Um, so Killer Kitty saying, will roots rot in rock wool if they are left for too long? So I've had plants in rock wool for almost a year, believe it or not. That just tells you how well Atlantic Aquariums is doing. But um, it just depends. A lot of your stem plants, as the stem is growing, it'll start sending out roots through the stem, like the Alternanthera does. I believe Bacopa does it as well. Um, you have more leeway with that. But there are other plants that don't do that, that will be in the rock wool, and they can give you issues sometimes. It's definitely not. You definitely want to get it out of its pot and into a good substrate. Um, I know like there are things out there where you can take the pot and it's like a decorative rock thingy with a hole that fits a pot, and you can plop the pot in there. And then for those that don't want to deal with a substrate or don't have a substrate, like it's a breeding tank, and they still want plants. They come up with that stuff, and they came up with that, and you can then plop the rock wool. They recommend adding a root tab in there, or a nutrition capsule in there, and you're good to go. And you're good to go. I don't like that. If you want plants in a bare bottom tank, just get a small flower pot, fill it up with a little bit of soil. You're good to go. Um, but I definitely would not keep these in rock wool for too long. And I haven't had these plants haven't been in here in their rock wool for too long anyway. Um, but yeah, sometimes I do try to repot them, like I said with the Bacopa, I've had to repot them, and they're doing perfectly fine. But some other plants are just really hard for me to repot. So I just hope that before they start losing, before they start giving up, I just hope that they do get sold and end up going into a new home where they're gonna get a lot of good nutrients. Yeah. And like I said, for some plants, like you can leave some of the rock wool as an anchor, but you definitely don't want the rock wool to be their substrate. From personally speaking, I would not recommend it. Yeah. Okay. All right. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to move the Bacopa caroliniana temporarily to this side so I can get this so I have more room to work here. And then I'm going to use the siphon to get a lot of that crud out. So, and I know by the time I start moving things, gunk is going to be flying around, which is going to be annoying, but it's whatever. Move that there. This here. Yep, a lot of gunk. So I'm going to I'm going to wait a moment to let that settle down before I start siphoning. I'm going to move you to the side so I can get the bucket here. A little handy dandy 5-gallon bucket. Hope everybody's having a good Thursday afternoon. I'm going to take the gravel vac out because I don't really need that. But doesn't mean I can just siphon things around. I got to be careful because there are fish in here. Actually, let me do this because I also need to do a few other things. So I'm going to take out this CO2 checker because I do want to change the liquid in it. Fluval CO2 checker has been doing well for me in the terms of sticking to the glass because I remember Scotty buying one from me, and then for whatever reason it wasn't staying on his aquarium, and but I had since I started putting CO2 in here, I've had this on there and it has not fallen off once. But then again, from time to time, I will like push it in more, so that way it does stay. But that's just me being paranoid. But yeah, I'm gonna get that out of there, clean this up a little bit, and we'll be good to go. If this was more of a display system, like a nice, beautiful display, I would not have that type of checker on here. I would have like the glass checkers. Um, but it does the job. Okay. So Shady saying, how often do you do water changes in your grow out holding tanks, Professor? Weekly. I am a huge advocate for weekly water changes. I do it on all of my systems. So yes, I do weekly water changes. Sometimes it just depends because I have so much stuff going on that I'll have to extend it a little bit. But I hate doing that because it screws up my schedule. Like the maintenance schedules and whatnot. But for the most part, I do all my water changes on a weekly basis. But it's like because I have so many tanks, for one day, I'll do like for today, I'm just going to be doing these two tanks, and then I'm off tomorrow, and then once I'm done class tomorrow, I'm going to be working on those two tanks there. Usually, I don't have the ability to do what I'm doing right now because this rack is usually filled with plants. But because it's empty now, because all thanks to Kelly Foreman, who bought the remainder of the Cypress Alfari that I had in here. This rack is basically empty. Um, that means I can comfortably just hover over this rack, get it nice and clean, and then what I'll do is I'll actually remove it and get the gunk that's underneath it out. I'm trying to be quick because it's a larger siphon hose. And I only do about maximum, I'll do 50 on this tank, 50%. And another thing I need to do, which I should have done, but I just thought of it, is I do need to scrub the glass a little bit. I have a little bamboo toothbrush that I use. I've stopped using the plastic toothbrushes. I use compostable or environmentally friendly toothbrushes that are made from bamboo. They've done well for me. And I use it for my aquarium maintenance. Whew. So I'm gonna stop the hose for a moment. Then I'm going to stay in there, stay in there. I'm going to remove this. It's going to be a bad hang on. I need to grab one of the styrofoam lids. Nope, that's going to be in the way. Yeah, shady. I mean, it doesn't really matter like what brand or whatever. A suction cup is a suction cup. So at some point or another, but there are tricks to making sure it stays. What I tend to do with my suction cups is keep them wet or get them wet and get any air that might be trapped in it as it like starts to leave. There's usually like air pocket in there. I try to get that air pocket out so it's all water because there's a whole physics behind it. And I'm not going to get into that, but it usually helps keep the suction cup stuck. Oh. And this is rare that I do the water change at this time of the day. Usually when I do the water changes, the lights are off, so I can never really see what I'm siphoning or where I need to siphon. Also, this is a great chance for me to to suck up any like pest snails that I see. I don't have an infestation, but that's mainly because I keep up with removing pest snails. I'll usually use my hand, like my fingers, to get them off, or I'll use the Dennerley snail catcher. That does the trick too. You can never get all of them out. Pesky little buggers. I'm not gonna be too like too cleany, if that makes sense. Like I'm not gonna get every single particle off, but I want to get most of it out. And I know I'm getting close to the 50% mark, but if it goes a little more than that, that's okay. Because believe it or not, plants also excrete waste. So there's actually a video of George Farmer explaining it as well. Um, but they do remove waste, not the same way as obviously in terms of the chemical components that fish release, but it's definitely waste you want to get out of the tank for the plants. So I have to watch the bucket. Don't want it to overflow, but also I need to keep track of how much I'm taking out. So I put the same exact amount of fresh water back in. Sorry if I'm blocking the view. I need to make sure that I have some water for me to clean the filters out, the sponges on the filters. I'm going to stop there. I have just a little bit more. I'm going to get that, and that should be good. I don't want to take too much water out, but I'm also going to take the opportunity to clean the glass a little bit and then get the filter out and get the sponge out and clean it in the water that I just took out. Because the last thing you want to do is kill the bacteria that is calling that filter its home. And we all know that. I'm an automation engineer by trade, so I understand about those things better than plants. My company builds equipment that makes different medical products like heart filters, catheters, or stents. Oh, okay. Do you age your water before adding it to the tanks, or do you just add tap water? So I add dechlorinated water. Um, I have to do an in-depth test of my water coming out of the tap. I'm gonna do like a ICP test on it to see what's in there, and even if I even have to dechlorinate, but I do dechlorinate the tap water. I just make sure that the temperature is the same or as close as possible to the tank. Before I didn't really bother that much with it, but now that I have fish in here, I have to be a little more careful. And I use Chem Prime. It's fast acting, and I've never had any issues with it. So I just fill the bucket up, add some Prime, um, and then I use the Zoomed Terraria or Paludarium pump to pump water back into the tank. That pump has saved me a lot of backache, I gotta tell you. So it was a good thing that I. Where did I get that from? I got it from the Clash. So it was a good thing I stayed for the Keystone Clash auction. I think it was the first item that I bought from the auction. So normally this rack is powered by air. So I have sponge filters in on technically for all these tanks. Um, but I had this Dennerlay filter, the corner filter was for my Dennerlay shrimp tank, the cube, and So I had it on there for a while, and so I was like, let me just put it in here for a little more flow. Because back then I had a different air pump than I have now. The air pump I have now is like pretty strong, and so I could easily get enough flow with the sponge filters. But another reason why I have this and I'm not using the sponge filter much is because of the CO2. So with sponge filters, you're getting a lot of water agitation, a lot of gas exchange because of that water agitation. When you're dosing with CO2, you want to keep that CO2 in the water for as long as you can so that the plants can use it. Um, and with that filter, you're creating so much water agitation that there's not going to be enough CO2 in the water. And if you start noticing that there's not a lot of CO2, the plants aren't really doing well. Well, let me crank up the CO2 then. You're wasting CO2 at that point. So what I do actually, and what you can do, and what I do basically is during the day I have the sponge filter turned off. During the night, um, when plants are taking in oxygen, releasing CO2, I turn the sponge filter on and allow it to really get the water agitation there, um, to help with that gas exchange and all that. And then also sometimes I'll get like a protein film on the top of the water surface, and so just to break it up a little bit more, I'll turn it on ever so slightly, so that it's kind of breaking up that biofilm, and it does perfectly fine. I'm out there. By the way, if any of you know how to get to the propeller of a Dennerley filter, please let me know, because I've been trying to get that propeller out so I can clean it up a little bit. It's doing fine, but you definitely want to do maintenance on your propellers. And I can't get into the housing that the propeller is in, and I don't want to break it. So, but if anybody knows if it's even possible, please let me know. Let me put you right over here for a second. So what I did with this filter here, the Dennerley. So the Dennerley filters, they come with like a cartridge that fits in here. And then obviously as that cartridge gets gunked up, you toss it out and then you get a new cartridge for it. What I did when that cartridge was done, I took it out. I got some coarse sponge. I cut it to size, and it plopped right in there. It already comes with this thingy that stays at the bottom here, but then I added this to it, and so now I can just pop it out, squeeze it in the aquarium water, and then put it back together, and then I'm good. But also, I mean, like, too, it does filter some, but the main purpose is to house beneficial bacteria and to create some flow in the tank. To be honest, it's still a cool filter, and it's a pretty strong filter. Like, if you set that filter to full blast, like, it can easily have do good circulation in here. And you can even extend it. So for larger tanks, you can add on another extender to the cartridge portion of it, which is cool. Now I'm gonna plop this back together. I probably did it the wrong way, actually. Now that I think of it. No, actually, I did it the right way. I tend to second guess myself all the time. Now we were talking about suction cups. The suctions, I mean, this filter is old as well, so I don't really blame it much. But like the suction cups on this thing have also started to give way. So from time to time, I have to check it to make sure it didn't come off the glass. But come on. Taking this thing apart is easier than it is putting it together. There we go. That's better. I'm also going to grab a Q-tip because I want to clean the nozzle in there, because what happens is when I restart it, there's like sometimes there's like gunk built into it that it just it blows all of that out and it's annoying. So I'm gonna grab a little Q-tip and at least clean that portion. Stand by. Look at that. Oh my lord. Should have brought more now that I think about it. Alright, I grabbed another Q-tip. I'm also going to actually submerge this a bit to kind of loosen up that debris. Maybe it'll come out. But hey there, Sketty Nona. Thank you very much for stopping by. Just doing some aquarium maintenance. Nothing too exciting. I appreciate you stopping by. Yucky, yucky, yucky. All right, good enough. All right, let's plop it back. There we go. Front glass is usually not as covered as the sides are because I'm mainly looking from this side. But from time to time, I like to also clean the sides. It just makes it more brighter and more clearer, in my opinion. What's going on here? Hang on. Melted leaves on there. So Sketty Nona is asking, if you had RO water, what product would you recommend for remineralizing, treating it for tanks with plants? So Brightwell Aquatics has it's called Brightwell Remineralize or something along the lines of that. Um, it's usually for like if you have Caridina. Well, they have one specifically for Caridina water. If you're using water for Caridinas, but I believe they also just have it for just for remineralizing. Um, so yeah, so Brightwells. I know I've heard of many people using Brightwell. Also, you have there's another one and I can't remember. I'm more familiar with Brightwell, so that's something to look into. Let me see if I can find the exact thing. Um, so Scotty Nona says only Neos at this time. Yeah, so like I said, they have something for specifically for Caridina, but I know they have another thing that's just if you're remineralizing your water, I believe. I'm actually good friends with one of the reps for Brightwell. She's based here in New Jersey, and so I get to ask her all sorts of questions about their products. Yep, it's called Remineralize. Um, so they've got a few. They've got Remineralize P, and then hang on. They've got one which is widely used for like discus aquariums, like your Amazonia. Trying to go on to Brightwell. Here we go. So, Scotty Nona, this is probably something you might want to look into. Let me share my screen here. There we go. So hold on. Let me do that, and then let me take the comment or not. Okay, but anyway, um, I can read a little bit of it for you. So remineralize it reconstitutes reverse osmosis deionized or distilled water for freshwater aquarium use. Excuse me. Adds minerals that have been removed by those filtration methods. Establishes an optimal mineral balance in water that has been purified or is exceedingly soft. So if you have soft water, well water and forested regions for all freshwater community aquaria, as well as for freshwater biotope aquaria housing fishes indigenous to forested and or riverine habitats. That's one of the reasons why they're using a discus in the marketing aspect of it, because they're found in rivers, Amazonian rivers, and the Amazon has softer water. Provides a beneficial ratio of potassium, calcium, magnesium, and sodium elements, which are vital to the overall health and osmoregulation of fishes, invertebrates, and many aquatic plants. Just a side note, I don't get sponsored by any of these brands here. It's just stuff that I have either used or I have people close and who know what they're doing who have used it. Scotty, no, that's definitely something you can look into. Um, I technically am a Brightwell retailer. The problem is I just don't have the money to get that stuff in. So I would, just Google it. There are plenty of online retailers, or if you have a local fish store that is a Brightwell um, retailer, definitely see if they have it and try it out. Uh, so yeah. Sorry, trying to go back. So Shady uses shrimp, salty shrimp brand. Grant and Shelby recommended. That's cool. Mr. Singh, finally tuwage. Good to have you here, bud. Um, and Sketty says, "Is that all I need?" Pretty much. Obviously, the you definitely want to read the directions and see what um what they recommend for like how many gallons of water do you need to use that for and all that stuff. And you definitely want to test your water for those parameters to make sure that everything is fine. But usually, as long as you follow the directions, you should be good. But yeah, Myrtle is lurking. Cool. Shady loves their substrate and bacteria. Yeah, their bacteria is really good. Has been used a lot. I've used it myself for saltwater and freshwater. Unlike Fritz Aquatics, you don't have to refrigerate it, which is cool. Um, but yeah, so but yeah, Sketty, that's definitely something to look into. I would recommend Brightwell. But obviously, if there are options out there, there are other options out there. You can you can see for yourself what would work best for you. But I would recommend the remineralize. Um, Skipper is here. Hello, my dear friend. Skipper, did the package arrive okay? The tissue culture and everything, did they arrive okay for you? Chat just jumped here. Kuro says, I have some of the Brightwell stuff. Didn't keep my Cardinia alive, but I can't blame the product specifically. See, the thing is like with Brightwell, a lot of their products is actually geared towards people who know what they're doing. Not bashing Koro or anything like that. It's just that a lot of this stuff is like pretty constant. It's concentrate. So you have to really dose accordingly and keep up with the water parameters in terms of testing and things like that, making sure that the levels are there. Um, and they even mention in like some of the products for Brightwell, they even say that this is for intermediate to advanced aquarists only. Um, so yeah, do with that what you can. But I believe the remineralize is pretty user friendly. Just follow the instructions. If you have any issues, you can always reach out to them or reach out to me or anybody that you feel comfortable, Nona, and definitely will be able to help you out. But yeah, remineralizing is always tough. That's why I haven't touched it yet. I haven't touched Cardinia yet. I just am not comfortable yet to work with them. But hopefully, when I have my own RODI unit, I'll give it a shot. See if I have the magic touch. Shady has had some good experience with it. That's good. Um, Cora says it was my first attempt. Uh, So Sketty says, "Is hard water better for fish and plants than and then softer water?" So no, no, it depends on what you're keeping. Believe it or not, even plants, certain plants do better in softer water than harder water. That's why you wanna test your GH, your KH, your TDS, things like that. Um, for example, you have your Amazon swords, your Echinoderus, right? They're from the same place you'll find angelfish and discus. That's why they're called Amazon swords. They come from softer water. The discus come from softer water. Angels come from softer water. A lot of your South American tetras come from softer water. Um, that doesn't mean they won't do fine in like regular, water that we're getting in. Some will do okay in harder water. But you have to also think of that with soft and hard, that's also affecting pH. The harder water is gonna bring you more to your African regions, so your African cichlids, things like that. Um, uh More of your lake environments rather than your riverine environments. So it just depends on what living thing you're keeping in your tank, whether it be invertebrate, whether it be plant, or fish. Now with invertebrates, you have to be very careful, especially our shelly friends, so like our snails and our shrimp and things like that. The lower the pH, the harder it's going to be on their shell, because lower pH is acidic water, right? So you want to be very careful with that you're not putting them in too much soft water or too low pH water. But I hope that answered your question. Coro says, so I ordered from. I just love how this live stream was just me doing maintenance and now I'm answering questions. But that's okay. I love questions. So I ordered from BRS and got a bunch of stuff that I can now order from Usama when I need a refill. Sure. Are you talking about Brightwell? I'm assuming. um. Hello there, Bunny Viper. Thank you very much for stopping by. Uh. Skipper says the package came in well. Happy to hear that. Let me know how that plant does for you. I'm curious to see how you do with it. Shady says you need above 200 TDS for Neurochirodina shrimp, but fish are better around 100 for breeding. Yeah. Skipper, yeah, works. Yeah, when it comes to soft versus hard, it just depends on what you're keeping, um, what you're trying to achieve, all that stuff. Just got to do your research and think like a scientist. That's what we are, aquarium scientists. Cora says I broke the jar and had to restart it, but I was using distilled water and had the substrate and driftwood soaking for weeks to build up biofilm, etc. with moss. Okay. Sorry, I'm probably a little bit. Oh no, I caught up. Cool. Um. Yes, Bunny. That is Bunny Viper. That is very accurate. We always learn more from our mistakes than from our successes. That's definitely true. I know. Oh, my knees. Okay, back to whatever I was doing here. So let me stop sharing. Yeah, yeah, Corey, you gotta plan it better. Don't get your livestock until their home is up to where it needs to be. That's what I always do. I wait until the tank is ready, perfect, cycled, water parameters are good before I put anything living in it. Except maybe like the inverts, like the cleanup crew and whatnot, but yeah. Acclamations can be tricky as well. Atkins, welcome. Haven't seen you in a while in chat. Hope you're doing good, bud. I was gonna make you a moderator, Atkins, but you haven't been showing up to live streams that much. I wasn't sure, but anyway. Hey there, Jeff. Sorry if you were already in here. I didn't say hi. I apologize. But how you doing, bud? Hope everything's good. Atkins says working like crazy. Yeah, screw work. All right, back to whatever I'm doing here. Sorry. Wait. In case you guys are just coming in, this is just a random pop-up live stream I decided to do because I was feeling lonely. Nah, I'm just joking. The actual live stream for Professor FishTanks isn't until um, this coming Sunday at 3 p.m. And we're going to be talking about something cool, for which you guys can go to the description of that live stream and see what we're going to talk about and even prepare yourself for it. But I'm not going to tell you what it is. You guys can figure that out on your own. So usually if I look from here, I can barely tell if there's anything on the glass. But then you look from the side here, there's a lot of gunk on here. A lot of gunk. Probably diatom or other stuff. I don't know. It's just a holding tank for plants, so it doesn't have to be perfect, but I am a perfectionist, so I was gonna take a shower when I woke up, but I was like, well, I'm gonna be cleaning tanks, so let me do that first before I take a shower. So at some point, probably what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna do a water change on this one, and then do the bottom one later tonight. And if you guys want to join me for that, I can set up another live stream. If not, that's totally fine because I know Foxy and Didi are going to be live later this evening, so I don't want to. I don't. A lot of people are going to be over there, so and I most likely will probably be there too. So um, if I do it, it's going to be late at night, or I'll just do it while I'm listening to other live streams. Okay, for the back, I'm going to need the other one because that has green spot algae on it. Woo! Did not mean to do that. I'm using a sponge and it just squirted out aquarium water onto my carpet, which is great. Just got to be careful there's no snails, otherwise I'm going to scratch the glass. But be right back. It's the kitty cat. Hey, hey, move. Get over. Get away from there. I just love how usually if I do get anything algae wise or whatever, it's on the glass. Like the plants have nothing on them. Which I always find interesting. Why am I using this one when I was using that one? That's stupid. Oh, sorry. Um, my knees. Hey, don't bully Atkins, man. Come on. Hey, it's Kelly. How you doing? Happy to hear the plants got to you. Okay. Hope you enjoy them. Okay. So now I'm going to go drain this water and then come back, and then I'm just going to siphon the rest of that gunk on that side, and then that's it. And then we can refill it. Um, and then whatever's here is going to get blown over there. And then I do the same thing next week. Sorry, I just saw a leaf that needs to be pruned or pop off. Because the alternanthera is kind of like that, and so I can actually see into it, and I'm seeing a lot of like old plants, old leaves, obviously, and I want to take the opportunity to get them off if I can reach it, or that'll work. And then when I do top off the tank, when I refill it back up, I'll also fertilize too. So I'll use the Tropica fertilizer to do it. So I do it every water change. I'll refertilize it, and then turn the CO2 back on, and we'll be good to go. I appreciate you guys. If you guys are still here or lurking, I appreciate it. Probably could be doing something better than this, but I wanted to spend some time with the fish fam. What do we got here? Atkins says I have thick skin. We all say that. I'm assuming Bunny Viper is talking to Atkins. Yeah. Okay. I also need to double check the Nero diffuser, which does not have any growth on it, which is cool. So I don't need to take it out and soak it. I'll probably do that next water change. Is I'll just take the diffuser out and kind of soak it in peroxide for a little bit and rinse it, and then it should be good to go. Be right back. And I'm back. Okay. Uh, yeah, guys, if you have any questions about anything, you're welcome to ask if you like. But if you're interested in any of these plants, they are available on the website. Um, I also have to treat this siphon hose. This thing is like nasty. So I have to figure out how to treat it. Usually people will use a diluted bleach solution for this thing, but I want to see if peroxide will do the trick. I'm sure it will, but I tend to go towards techniques that are tried and true in the hobby. Not saying that peroxide isn't has its uses. We in the saltwater world we use peroxide a lot for treating algae, pesky algae on coral frags. All right, that's enough water. It's more than 50%, but that's okay. I'm sure the plants and fish will appreciate it. Speaking of which, our fish are here, right? They're probably hiding under this tray. It's interesting. I had six blue eyes, six rice fish in here, Daisy's rice fish, and for a while I could only count five until last night when I was feeding them. They feed at the back. They and I was counting. I was like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I guess I lost the sixth one, and then the sixth one just pops in, and I'm like, okay, so you are alive. Good. Well, I'm hoping they're there. I mean, they haven't really popped in there because that's more secure, so they're probably just chilling there, which is fine. That allows me to comfortably siphon those. Let me take this thing apart. So when I'm done with my water changes, I actually take the hose apart to let it breathe. Otherwise, it gets stanky. And then there's sometimes water left in the hand primer. So I'll just shake it in the bucket, get some of that water out. Then plop that to the side there. And then I'm going to drain this, and then I have to fill up a bucket with fresh water, which is going to take a little bit of time. So I'll be right back. Actually, hang on. Before I even do that, let me put this back in. There we go. Cool. Excuse me. I think I'll just leave the Bacopa there. What do you guys think? I think I'll just leave the Bacopa there, and then that gives me this entire row of this entire rack open to put more plants in. So I can get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. Hang on. 3, 6, 9, 12. Yep, 21. So I can get 21 more plants in here. That's cool. But they're not going to come for any time soon because my bank account is empty. Uh, People are talking amongst themselves. That's okay. Killer Kitty says, do you have any terrestrial, or excuse me, do you have any terrariums? I've been watching videos of on them and they keep talking about springtails. Apparently it's some kind of bug. Yes, so springtails is it's a decomposer. So it's a what's the word I'm looking for? A detravore. So what it does, it's part of the natural environment, similar to your isopods, but they're even smaller than the isopods. And what they do is they eat dead organic matter in the soil and keeps the soil aerated and healthy and nutritious for the plants. Um, you If you get springtails, they usually come in with charcoal. You'll get like large lumps of charcoal, and springtails will be roaming all around there. Um, but yeah, if you're keeping a bioactive vivarium, paludarium, terrarium, springtails are like the number one thing people put in there. And then it's just for the health of the environment that you're, or the ecosystem that you're making in there. I personally don't have any terrariums here, but I've worked with them and read up on them. Oh, I just heard the bell ring. That's probably them. Yeah, Coral, I've had springtails hopping around on my Amazon Frogbit. Definitely. Um, Believe it or not, and I don't even know how they would get up there or in there, but when I was setting up my shrimp tank, the Denner Lake Cube shrimp tank, I was doing a dry setup to grow the carpeting plant. I was using dwarf baby tears, or was it Monte Carlo? Probably Monte Carlo, the one that has the bigger leaves. But I planted in there, misting it occasionally to keep it nice and wet, waiting for it to start growing out. And then when I finally filled it up, all you could see is just a layer of springtails floating at the top. And I'm like, where did you guys get there from? But they found it in there somewhere. Uh, but yeah. Okay, so I'm gonna go. I'm sorry, there was like something in the water floating, and it looked like a fry. And I started panicking. I was like, "No way is that a baby fry in there?" But no, it's just something. Okay, where are we? To an hour 31 minutes. Okay, so Killer says, "Sorry, been driving and lurking." That's okay. You know, gotta focus on your driving. Don't text and drive. All right, be right back, y'all. So this is what has saved me a lot of back pain. Was oh, hang on, let me get rid of that. So this is what has saved me a lot of back pain. This is from ZooMed. It's like their paludarium drain pump. Technically, we'll put this in the in the aquatic section of a paludarium, and you can pump the water out. But it's used for putting water into a tank, and so I use it to fill these back up, and it saved me a lot of back pain for sure. Best money I spent on an auction. Gotta grab the dechlorinator real quick. This is what I use to dechlorinate. It's just the Chem Prime. Sorry, guys. Just wanted to check the charging on this laptop. And got 23%. Oh, Lord. Oh, oh, my back. Ooh, peacock gudgeons. Those are cool. Carl says, my good stem of Alternanthera renicia mini keeps wanting to be a floater, so I just wrapped it around a stick, and now it's tethered but next to the surface. We'll see how that turns out. Definitely want to try to get it in some substrate. Skano says, I just let mine float. Yeah. I've never had any issues with plants really floating out of the substrate. I usually get in there pretty down. Okay, so I've got maybe I'll tilt it down a little bit. So I've got my fresh water right there, dechlorinated as close to the water temperature as possible. It'll probably be a little bit warmer, but that's okay. Now I'm going to, excuse me, put this pump in. So I usually use one hand to keep it dry so that the other hand is dry so that I can then plug it in, because the last thing you want to do is touch electrical stuff with a wet hand. Not good. So it has like suction cups on the bottom, so it sticks to the bottom. And this pump actually has an on-off switch, so I don't have to like rush and unplug it. But yeah, it's pretty cool and pretty powerful. It's like It's a pretty powerful pump, and it doesn't have like adjuster on it for me to adjust the flow, which kind of sucks, but whatever. Better than nothing, in my opinion. You know what? I'm just gonna. Alrighty. So now I'm gonna scooch on over here, plug this sucker in. There we go. Now, because this has such strong flow, I don't want it to like, you know, damage the plant. So what I like to do is I'll just push it up against the glass and it'll just spread out. You're gonna notice that there's gonna be a lot of gunk flowing around. That's because I was only able to clean or siphon from this side, not that side. So because of the water pressure, it's just gonna float around. But the concept is I've got a lot of the stuff out from there. So if that stuff does float around, it's not gonna be a lot, and hopefully the filters will get them up. But you know, it's harmless stuff. It's mostly just debris coming off of the rock wool, because I don't have a lot of fish in here anyway, and I don't feed heavily or to the fish. So, but anyway. All right. There we go. You can see that. Yeah, you can see that. And I also have the thermometer turned on, so I can kind of see if it affects the temperature or not. It most likely will. It'll bring it up a couple of degrees. Yep. So I just went up to 68. 68.1. It has such a strong flow that I can actually see the flow as it's going down and coming back up. I can see it from the bottom, the flow coming back up, like it's going in a circle. It's looking so much clearer too, or it could just be because. And I'm also surprised that a lot of that gunk is not flying around. I was hoping for like things to stir up, and it's not. So, yay. Almost empty. And we're good. Now, one thing, if you ever get a pump like this, one thing you don't want to do is, as it's pumping, put the hose in the water, because the moment you turn that pump off, what's it gonna do, class? It's gonna create a siphon, and then you're gonna be siphoning water back into your clean bucket, which you don't want to do. So when it gets closer to emptying, I'll actually lift the pipe out of the water so that when I do shut it off, it doesn't start doing a siphon, because I separate my buckets. So the buckets that I fill with new fresh water, I keep separate from the buckets I use to keep my to drain the tanks into, if that makes sense. And a lot of you are probably like, well, yeah, duh. But I'm just telling you my process. Did I just rip that? I need to stop playing with these plants. What did I do? You can come out because you're not doing too good. You're an old leaf. There we go. Sorry, got distracted. And also not me realizing that these plants have been out of water for a little while, which is not good. So let me just spritz some water on there. That's a leaf. That's a leaf. Okay. All right. Let's see what the chat here says. I see you guys are just talking amongst yourself. That's good. No need to pay attention to me. Oh, Sketty says, "What pump brand did you say that was? Have you tried other brands?" Hang on, let me grab the box. I have the box. Oh. Just saying, but if you saw my Keystone Clash video I published, I talk about this, but that's okay. So it's this. It's the ZooMed Terra pump. So it's an aquatic habitat drain pump. So technically, you use it to either. Oh, there's a lot of glare. Sorry. Oh, there we go. So you use it to drain water out of your enclosure, or you can use it as it says right here. You can use it to pump water back in to your enclosure. So it's a ZooMed. It was being auctioned off at the Keystone Clash. I needed something like this. I went for it, and it does well for me. I'm pretty sure there are pumps like this that are smaller as well. So you can definitely get those pumps as well. Um, One of the things I like about this is that on and off switch, which let me see if I can show you. So that on and off switch right there, which allows me to, instead of running to unplug it, I can just switch it off and it does well. And then I can take the pump out and refill the bucket and all that stuff. So it's definitely a great thing to have. So yeah, if you guys are looking for something like that, I recommend it. I'm sure there's a lot of online pet stores that carries it. Any place that carries ZooMed. I'm not going to recommend Amazon because I don't like Amazon. But if you want to buy it from Amazon, you can. But yeah, trying to see if it tells you how many gallons per hour this pump is. Oh, here it is. So it says right there. So it's about 5 feet max head pressure. It's about 150, no, 120 volts, 28 watts, and 370 gallons per hour. It's cool. Good for freshwater or marine habitats. Great for turtle tanks. Which the turtles, depending on what species turtle you have, could be a fully aquatic or a paludarium. For aquatic turtles or semi-aquatic turtles, there are some species, especially tortoises, that are fully land. Okay, let me put this back, get that pump out, and I just have a little bit more water left to. And I just heard my mom call my name, and because I guess the family relatives that were supposed to come came, and then I guess she heard me talking and she realized that, oh, he's doing something, and then she left. Okay, let me just bring this over here to rest the pump on, because I don't want to get too much water on the. Oh, hang on, let me do something here real quick. There's some water left in here. There we go. I don't want water on the carpet, or I want to avoid it as much as I can. But we're almost there. Stand by. And I have returned with more water than I needed, which I always do, but you'd rather have more water than not enough and then have to go back and fill it back up. But yeah. Did I miss anything? Jeff is leaving. Well, no problem. Thank you for stopping by. And my laptop is about to die. Let me go grab the charger real quick. Problem is I don't have anything close enough to plug this into. Do I? You know what? Let's do this. Hang on. I'm changing the angle a little bit here. It's okay. You're gonna see a lot of Atlantic Aquarium's junk on that side. So, oh no. Shady says, sorry for the delay, but I overfilled a tank while I was distracted by what the professor was talking about. Thank goodness I had a water alarm. When you are doing anything like that, You definitely do not want to be distracted. Shady, what was I talking about that made you not pay attention to what you were doing? It's a good thing you had a water alarm. Oh, the water and electricity thing. Yeah. All right. So, Killer Kitty, these aren't 20-gallon longs, they're 20-gallon low boys. So the height, the depth is smaller and it's a little wider or longer or however way you want to look at it. So they're not your traditional 20-gallon longs. They're 20-gallon low boys. They're no longer in production from my understanding. They were made by All Glass Aquariums Incorporated, which I believe they ended up selling to Aqueon. And Aqueon just decided not to make any of them. But yeah, I tried looking to see if these tanks are available, like who makes them or if they're available or not. But because when I brought these to the clash, a lot of people were asking about the tank specifically, and I was like, let me see if I can get these in and then sell them. But no, they're not they're not on the market. But they are cool tanks. When I upgrade my plant holding system to something better, hopefully, fingers crossed, I'm gonna transform these into shell dweller displays. So my plan is for each tank to have a different species of shell dweller in it. I've always wanted to keep shell dwellers, but I don't have the room to keep them. I have to shake that rack at some point because there's a lot of micro bubbles forming on the bottom of it. Come on, come on. Don't empty out on me yet. If I can at least get it up to where the Dennerley filter is, I can then at least get that started, turned on, and turn on CO2. What I'll do, there's still water in the bucket, so I'll just pour that into like a specimen container and then dump it in here. Okay, move you to the side for a second. And let me turn on that filter. Plug you. Plug you. Adjust your nozzle a little bit. Is that good? Yeah, that's good. Okay. And then let me turn on CO2. Why not? CO2 is now on. Perfect. And then let me drain this. Let me toss this out and clean that up a little bit because there's a little bit of algae growing on this. Be right back. Let me also pull out the fluid. I might end up getting newer fluid because this is old. It's not that old, but it's old. So I don't want the age of the chemical to affect the reading. If any of you are interested in this, I can get more in. They also have a sticker. It's not a sticker. It's like a vinyl cling. It's like a window cling type of material, but it comes with that. So if it's blue, not enough CO2. If it's yellow, a lot of CO2. If it's green, it's good CO2. And that you would basically put that where the suction cup is. So you would stick that to on the outside where the suction cup is. Be right back. Alrighty, that's cleaned. Let me see if I need to clean the. Yeah, let me clean the. Okay, so sorry if I'm missing chat a little bit, but you guys are mostly looking, or excuse me, not looking, but mostly chatting amongst yourselves, which is perfectly fine. But yeah, we're almost done here. So I'm just trying to clean up the water because I just washed it, and then just fill it back up, and then we're good with that. And then I just need to finish topping this off because there's still a little bit of water in the bucket, so might as well just use that. And then fertilize, and then we're good. And then hopefully I will see you guys. So I'm gonna finish doing that later tonight. I'll probably not do a live stream because it's probably gonna be late at night, and you all need your sleep. So I'll do that later, and then hopefully I'll see you guys on Sunday for our official live stream, where I will be focusing more on you people and not on this. But I love my fishies. I like giving my fishies my like. Look at these. Look. I don't know if you guys can see them. Hang on. Let me see if I can. Hang on. Yeah, kind of. But these are my Vienna guppies, and they think I'm about to feed them, so they're all congregated to the to the class, which is funny. They're adorable. But yeah. Okay, so we're going to grab this. 16 people. Cool. But yeah, thank you guys for hanging out. I appreciate it. If you guys are watching the replay, thank you very much. Sorry you missed it, but I mean, it wasn't announced anyway, so it's all good. So technically, you fill it up to that little line there, but I usually fill it up a little short from that. Um, then what you do is so it has a little gasket, that little black like O-ring. So that's to seal it up. So you're gonna keep this straight upside down, and then um, Sketty says Sunday. No wonder I miss your stream. But when I first started streaming, it was very inconsistent. So sometimes I would stream on Sunday, sometimes I would do it on a Friday or a Monday. But I think I've decided to stick with Sunday. Not every Sunday. It's not going to be like a weekly thing for now. Um, but it's going to be Sundays on at 3 p.m. Um, so I apologize if that's not a good time for you guys, but usually on Sundays I'm in the morning. I teach Sunday school, and then I get off Sunday school about 2 p.m. after prayers, and then I come home, grab something to eat real quick, and then I'll do the live stream. And usually I like to keep them an hour. Sometimes it'll go longer than that, like what's happening right now. But Sketty Nona says 3 p.m. is good. Okay, cool. So hopefully I'll see you this Sunday. And Atkins is back. Welcome, Atkins. We're almost done with the tank. I'm just refilling but yeah, basically, so sorry, I'm not even showing you guys what I'm doing. So I filled it up to this little line right here. And once you fill it up, you have to slowly tilt it so that it's going to the side and not into the hole. That's why you don't want to fill it too much. And so I slowly do it, and it's usually very anxious for me as I slowly do it. Oh, 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 no, 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 no. Okay, we're good. And then bam, there you go. Did any of it come out? No. Okay. Do a little tappy tap tap tap. Get any air bubbles out of there. And there you go. That's your Fluvo CO2 checker. And then plop that on. So the concept with this thing is like any other CO2 checker. So this will go in the water. So here's the water line. It goes in the water, but there's a lot of air pressure in here. So it keeps the water out from going into there. And so the only thing that is going in here is CO2 during its gas exchange. And so as the CO2 reacts with the liquid in here, it changes color, tells you if there's any CO2 in here or not. Coro says, been soldering my brake lights, about to test and see if they're working. Good luck with that. I would actually have a mechanic do it. I do not touch any of that stuff. Atkins says I'm using off by then on I'm assuming you're saying I'm usually off by then on Sundays. Is what I'm assuming you're saying, Atkins. Scotty Don says I miss teaching Sunday school. It's old Dutch reform where I live now. Gotcha. Okay. I'm Muslim, so I teach Islamic Sunday school. But y'all don't need to hear about my faith. Y'all here for the fishies. All right. Anyway, I need to stop playing fidgeting with this thing. So we're gonna plop this back in here. So like I said, what I tend to do with like these suction cups is I'll put it in the water, put it up to the glass, and it doesn't need to go really down in the water column, and then it clings pretty well to the glass, and then I'll just stop moving. You have to be okay, so you got to be careful with this thing because if you're doing what I'm doing right now, I don't even know if you guys can see, but if you're doing like one thumb out here and trying to push down, it's gonna slide. So what I do is I just go right in there and then just use my entire hand to push as much as I can. And there you go. That's it. And obviously, I got water on the glass. And there's something on here. What is that? Don't know what that is. Pretty clear. The CO2 diffuser is running now, which is cool. I'll most likely upgrade the CO2 diffuser because I'm using the nano one that I used for my shrimp tank. And obviously it's not good enough for this. So I might get the different one. I could use the Tropico one, but I would rather sell the diffuser I have than use it for myself. And I like the Neo diffusers. They've done okay for me. I've had that Nano diffuser for years, and it's still working fine. But yeah. So let's top this off. Oh, I've got my little specimen container. I'm just gonna pour what's left in this bucket and pour it into that. If it's too much, then I'll pour it into the bottom tank. Is it gonna be enough? Oh, there you go. So yeah, that's how much water was still in there. I'm just gonna carefully, and I say that even though it's not gonna happen, and then I'll just do that first. For it, you gotta commit. You gotta commit. There we go. All right, that'll work. Yep, perfect. All right, put that there. Do some cleaning. Messy, messy, messy. I don't like messy. Okay, that's probably as close. Close, dang it. All right, there we go. Plop that back in there. Put you in there so I don't lose you, even though I don't use you anyway. Put you back in the box. Close you up. Good. Okay, what's next? Lid. Pop the lid up. Usually I also take this time to clean the lid, but this I've already done like a big deep clean of this, so I don't really need to. So I'm just gonna plop it back on. Whoop, whoop. There, cool. I'll pick that up in a bit. Let's see if there's anything you guys are asking. Let me move you guys. I don't want you seeing all the junk behind me. There we go. But yeah, so that's that tank all nice and clean, nice and bright even too. And then I just have to clean that one down there, and we'll be good to go. And then the one on top, I'm going to clear out so that I can keep the tissue cultures in there. And the reason is because that one also has a light, so I'll turn that light on for a couple of hours every day so the tissue cultures can get some light as well because they are plants. Because I'm trying to clear that rack off to put the macroalgae display on. So just trying to organize, throw out things that I don't need. Uh, People are talking about whatever Coral was doing. It's fine. Yeah, that's true. Has to go somewhere. But it's not just fish junky stuff. It's everything. Atkins is thinking. I'm thinking coral frag tanks. Cool. Are you referring to like the empty tanks? Yeah, these aren't going to be coral frag stuff. They can be. You can set them up to be like coral frag rack, like a coral frag rack, but it's not going to be that. I would rather get the Zoom Ed 150-gallon low boy, or is it 150, 140, something along the lines of that. But that low boy tank is nice. Um, Bunny says Ian is the boss of aquariums. Ian's the boss of aquariums. I'm the educator of aquariums. We'll do that. We'll say that. um, Atkins likes the dimensions of the things. Yep. If you're curious about the dimensions, I did go over them on the Tropica unboxing video. I did the dimensions. Matt asked me for it, and so yeah, if you guys are curious, you can watch that live stream and see what the dimensions are. But anyway, so that's all I got for you guys. So I appreciate you guys stopping by. Um, and like I said, I'll be going live hopefully this coming Sunday at 3 p.m. So feel free to hit the notification bell so you guys don't miss that. Um, thank you, lurkers. Thank you, people who've been active in the chat. Sorry I wasn't able to talk with you guys that much. You guys were talking amongst yourself, which is perfectly fine. Coral says, I vote frag tank and shell dwelling oyster blennies. Maybe one day. We'll see. Um, but for now, my goal would be right now they're gonna be plant stuff until I can figure a different setup for them. But I'm gonna be stuck with this rack as a plant setup for a long time, unfortunately. But yeah, so I lost my train of thought. So yeah, thank you, lurkers. Thank you, people who are in the chat. Um, I don't know if any of my moderators were here today, but that's okay. Thank you, mods, for being mods. If you guys are watching the replay, I appreciate it. Thank you very much. Sorry you missed the live stream. If you liked the video, hit the like button. Um, and yeah, so thank you guys. Enjoy the rest of your day. I'll see you on Sunday at 3 p.m. or I'll see you in the chat on a different live stream. Who knows? Um, but yeah, so thank you very much. Enjoy the rest of your day. Stay safe out there. Take care of your aquariums. Make sure you do your maintenance. Weekly maintenance is something the professor encourages. All right. And with that being said, take care. Have a nice day.